right now, your money is getting poorer. Not you, your money. The cash sitting in your bank account right now is worth less today than it was yesterday, and it will be worth less tomorrow than it is today. At 3% inflation, 10,000 pounds or dollars loses 300 in purchasing power every single year. You do not see a withdrawal. There is no notification. The number stays the same. But what that number can buy shrinks quietly, invisibly, relentlessly. Most people think not investing is the safe option. It is not. Not investing is a guaranteed loss. You just do not see the loss because nobody sends you a statement showing how much poorer your savings got this month. So the question is not should you invest. The question is, what do you actually do with your money depending on how much of it you have? Because the answer at 10 pounds is completely different from the answer at 10,000. Nobody explains that. Not in plain language. Not without trying to sell you a course or an app or a guru membership. So let me. 20 minutes or less. The whole thing. Let us go. The lie. They tell you first. The most common piece of financial advice on the internet. Start investing as early as possible, even if it is just 10 pounds a month. And you should. The habit matters. But they leave out the most important part. The habit alone will not change your life. Not at 10 pounds a month. And pretending it will is dishonest. 10 pounds a month into an index fund averaging 10% a year for 10 years gives you roughly 2,000 pounds after a decade. That is not life-changing money. That is a holiday. 100 pounds a month at the same rate gives you roughly 20,000. Better, but still not transformative. Now watch what happens at 1,000 pounds a month. Same fund, same return, same 10 years, around 200,000 pounds. Same index fund, same 10%. Same 10 years. The only variable that changed was the input. At lower brackets, the return does not matter nearly as much as the input. A 10% return on 10 pounds is 1 pound. A 10% return on 10,000 pounds is 1,000. So start investing now, whatever you can. But alongside that, treat increasing your income as the real priority, because the fastest way to build wealth is not finding a better fund. It is finding a way to put more money into the fund you already have, both at the same time, not one before the other. What to do with your first 10 pounds? If 10 pounds a month is all you have, invest it. Open a Stocks and Shares ISA in the UK, a Roth IRA or 401k in the US, or whatever tax-advantaged account exists where you live. Put it into an index fund and let it sit. You will not get rich from it, but you will learn what it feels like to own a piece of the market. You will watch it go up and down. You will feel the urge to sell when it drops. That emotional education is worth more than the returns. But your real job at this bracket is increasing your income. A 10-pound Udemy course that teaches you a marketable skill will change your financial life faster than any index fund. The 10 pounds in the market builds the habit. The 10 pounds in yourself builds the income. Do both. What to do with your first 100 pounds a month. Now we are talking. 100 pounds a month means you have some breathing room. You have a job. You are covering your bills. There is surplus. First things first. Before you invest anything, make sure you have at least 1 month of expenses set aside in cash. Not invested. Accessible tomorrow. That buffer stops you from pulling investments out early when life happens. Now. Most people go wrong at this stage. They try to pick individual stocks. They follow some guy on Twitter who says Tesla is about to moon. They buy crypto because their mate made money in 2021. Do not do that. Not yet. Maybe not ever. At 100 pounds a month, your job is simplicity. One index fund. Set up a direct debit. Forget it exists. An index fund is a basket of hundreds of companies bundled together. When you buy one, you're buying a tiny piece of every major company in the market. You do not need to pick winners. You own all of them. The most common one people talk about is the S&P 500. It tracks the 500 largest companies in America. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, all of them. Over the last 100 years, it has returned an average of roughly 10% per year. Over the last 30 years, roughly 10.4%. Over the last 10 years, closer to 15%, though that includes an unusually strong bull run. You do not need to pick the perfect fund. A global index fund or an S&P 500 tracker will do. The fees should be low, under 0.5%. Vanguard, Fidelity, iShares all offer these. Open a stocks and shares ISA in the UK, so your gains are tax-free up to £20,000 a year. In the US, max out your Roth IRA or employer-matched 401k first. The account wrapper matters as much as what you put inside it. At £100 a month with a 10% average annual return, after 10 years, you have roughly £20,000. After 20 years, roughly $76,000. After 30 years, over $200,000. You did nothing except set up a direct debit and not touch it. That is the power of compound interest. But only if the input is consistent and you give it time. What to do with £1,000 a month? Now the game changes. At £1,000 a month, you are building real wealth. And this is where diversification starts to matter. When you had £100 a month, one index fund was enough. At 1,000, you want to spread the risk. Think of it in percentages. Maybe 70% goes into a global index fund or S&P 500 tracker. That is your foundation. The thing that grows steadily over decades. Maybe 20% goes into bonds. Bonds are essentially loans you give to governments or companies. They pay you interest. They are boring. They do not grow as fast as stocks. But when the stock market drops 40% like it did in 2008, your bonds hold steady or even go up. In 2008, while the S&P 500 dropped 50%, UK government bonds returned roughly 15%. US Treasuries did the same. They are the seatbelt in your portfolio. You hope you never need them, but when you do, they save you. Maybe 10% goes into what you want. Individual stocks you believe in. A sector ETF in technology or clean energy. Maybe even a small amount in crypto if you understand the risk. This is your high-risk, high-reward allocation. Money you are prepared to lose entirely. At £1,000 a month with a 10% average return over 20 years, you are looking at roughly £760,000. Over 30 years, over $2 million. But here's the thing most people get wrong about diversification. It is not about maximizing returns. It is about surviving the bad years without panicking, because the bad years are what kill most investors. And your allocation should change as your life changes. At 25 with no mortgage and no kids, 90% stocks is fine because you have decades to recover from a crash. At 50 with retirement approaching, you shift toward bonds because you cannot afford a 50% drop when you need the money in 10 years. There is no perfect portfolio. There is only the portfolio you can hold through a crash without selling. The crash that made millionaires January 2008. Imagine you invest £10,000 into the S&P 500. You feel good about it. The market has been climbing for years. 6 months later, the financial crisis hits. Banks collapse. Lehman Brothers goes under. The stock market falls off a cliff. By March 2009, your £10,000 is worth about $5,000. You have lost half your money in 14 months. Every instinct in your body screams sell. Get out. Save what is left. Most people did exactly that. They sold at the bottom. They locked in their losses. And they told themselves they would never invest again. Some of those people were months from retirement. Some had just put in their life savings. Some had borrowed to invest because everyone told them the market only goes up. In New York, taxi medallion owners who had leveraged their medallions as collateral saw their net worth collapse overnight. Ordinary people with pensions watched decades of savings evaporate. It was not abstract. It was real money belonging to real people who made emotional decisions at the worst possible time. But the people who did nothing, who felt the same fear but did not act on it. By 2024, that £10,000 was worth roughly $70,000, 7 times what they put in. Not because they were smart, not because they picked the right stocks, because they did not sell. The S&P 500 lost roughly 50% of its value during the 2008 crash. It recovered fully within about 4 years. Then it kept climbing for the next 15. Every single major market crash in history has eventually recovered. Every one. The dot-com crash, the 2008 financial crisis, the 2020 pandemic crash. If you held through all of them, you made money. The people who lost money are the ones who sold during the drop. Investing rewards patience and punishes emotion. That is not a slogan. That is a century of data. What to do with 10,000 pounds. At 10,000 pounds, you have options, but more options means more ways to get it wrong. First, before you invest a single pound, build an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash, not invested, not in the market. In a savings account you can access tomorrow, because the worst thing that can happen is needing money during a crash and being forced to sell at a loss. Your emergency fund protects your investments. It means you never have to touch your portfolio when the market is down. Second, make sure every penny you invest sits inside a tax-advantaged account. In the UK, that is a stocks and shares ISA. In the US, it is a Roth IRA or a 401k. Different names, same concept. Any money that grows inside these accounts is either tax-free or tax-deferred. Capital gains when you sell. Dividends while you hold. Interest earned. In the UK, nothing goes to HMRC. In the US, nothing goes to the IRS. You can put up to 20,000 pounds per year into an ISA. In the US, the Roth IRA limit is about $7,000 per year, but a 401k allows much more, especially with employer matching. Say you invest 10,000 pounds or dollars and it grows to 50,000 over 20 years. Outside a tax-advantaged account, you owe capital gains tax on the 40,000 gain. That could be 8,000 or more going to the government. Inside the account, you keep all of it. Every penny. The government is literally offering you free compound growth, and most people either do not use it or contribute far below the limit. Use the ISA first. Before you debate which fund to buy, make sure that fund is inside the right account. That single decision is worth more over a lifetime than almost any investment choice you will ever make. Third, the fees matter more than you think at this bracket. A fund charging 1.5% per year versus one charging 0.1% does not sound like much, but let me put a number on it. On a 100,000 pound portfolio over 30 years, that difference costs you roughly 80,000 pounds in lost returns. 80,000 gone. Not because the market went down, because you chose the expensive fund instead of the cheap one that tracks the same index. And fourth, do not try to beat the market. In 2007, Warren Buffett made a public bet, $500,000 on the line. He chose a basic S&P 500 index fund. His opponent chose a curated portfolio of elite hedge funds, the best fund managers in the world, teams of analysts, proprietary algorithms, decades of experience, fees of 2% plus 20% of profits. The bet ran for 10 years. The index fund returned 125%. The hedge funds returned 36%. The most sophisticated investors on the planet, managing billions of dollars, charging the highest fees in the industry, lost decisively to a fund that simply owns everything and does nothing. If they cannot beat the index consistently, you probably cannot either. That is not an insult. It is the single most liberating piece of information in all of investing. You do not need to be smart. You do not need to research companies. You do not need to watch financial news. You just need to buy the index, pay the lowest fees possible, and leave it alone. That is the entire strategy at 10,000 pounds or dollars. Tax-advantaged account. Low-fee index fund. Do not touch it. The system does the work. The risks. Nobody warns you about investing is not a guaranteed path to wealth. It is a probabilistic one. The odds are in your favor over long periods. But there are real risks, and pretending they do not exist is how people get hurt. Market risk. The entire market can drop and stay down for years. The S&P 500 took over 5 years to recover from the dot-com crash. If you needed that money during those 5 years, you were in trouble. Inflation risk. Keeping everything in cash feels safe, but inflation eats it alive. 1,000 pounds today will buy roughly 800 pounds worth of goods in 10 years at 3% inflation. Your savings account is not protecting you. It is just losing money slowly enough that you do not notice. Emotional risk. This is the biggest one. You will watch your portfolio drop. Not if, when. A JPMorgan study found that the average investor earns roughly 3% per year because they buy high when they feel confident and sell low when they feel scared. The market returns 10%. The average person gets 3%. The entire difference is emotional decision making. The market does its job. It returns 10% over time. But most people get less than a third of that because they cannot stop interfering with their own money. They check it every day. They panic when it drops. They get greedy when it climbs. They hear a rumor and move everything around. The single most profitable skill in investing is the ability to do nothing when every instinct tells you to act. The real answer. So here is what most investing advice gets wrong. They make it complicated. They start with terminology, asset allocation, dividend yield, price to earnings ratio. They bury the simple truth under jargon because jargon makes people feel like they need a course. You do not need a course. A few years ago, I had a business degree and a job that paid fine, but nothing special. I could have opened a brokerage account and started putting £50 a month into an index fund, and I should have. At 10% a year, after 10 years, that would have given me roughly £10,000. But the thing that actually changed my financial life was not a fund. It was a £10 Udemy course. I taught myself to code. It took me a year. It was uncomfortable and unglamorous, and nobody was cheering me on. But that year changed my income permanently. I became a software engineer. My earning power jumped, and now the surplus I invest every month is not £50. It is significantly more than that. I did both. I invested what I could, and I increased the input. The combination is what builds wealth, not one or the other. The entire strategy fits on an index card. Increase your income, build an emergency fund, open a tax-advantaged account, buy a low-fee index fund, set up a direct debit, increase the amount every time your income grows. Do not sell when it drops. Do not check it every day. The rest is just maths and patience.